It's August 20th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have miners trapped by the man meant to protect them, an escape moments before disaster, and a book of poetry so controversial, France put it on trial. Let's begin. On August 20th, 1910, hurricane-force winds transformed hundreds of small wildfires across Idaho and Montana into a 3 million-acre inferno known as the Big Blow-Up. Near Wallace, Forest Service Ranger Edward Pulaski and his exhausted firefighting crew suddenly found themselves trapped. Flames had cut off their escape, and with only moments, Pulaski forced the men and 2 terrified horses into a shallow, abandoned mine tunnel. Then, the fire reached them. Burning timber began to consume the oxygen inside. Smoke filled the cramped passage as men coughed, rearing and collapsing. Pulaski soaked blankets with water and pressed them against the smoldering entrance, desperate to keep the flames out. But panic spread. When one firefighter attempted to run from the tunnel, Pulaski drew his revolver. He threatened to shoot anyone who tried to leave, knowing that stepping outside meant certain death. And eventually, even he collapsed. When the survivors awakened the following morning, the forest around them had been reduced to ash. 5 firefighters and both horses had passed, but nearly 40 people had survived because Pulaski refused to let them run. He later helped develop the Pulaski axe, a tool still carried by wildland firefighters today, but his greatest life-saving tool that night was a loaded revolver. On August 20th, 2007, China Airlines Flight 120 landed in Naha Airport in Okinawa after a routine flight from Taipei. The Boeing 737 taxied to its parking position, and the passengers began to gather their belongings. Then, flames appeared beneath the right wing. Fuel was pouring from the aircraft, igniting against some of the scorching hot components. Within moments, the fire began to crawl towards the fuselage. The captain ordered an emergency evacuation. 157 passengers rushed towards the exits, escaping down the inflatable slides as smoke and flames surrounded the aircraft. Seconds later, the fuel tank erupted. A massive fireball swallowed the airplane and reduced the fuselage to a burnt-out shell. Every passenger and crew member had escaped. All 165 people survived without injury. Investigators eventually discovered that it all began with a loose piece of hardware inside the wing. When landing, the slats retracted and punctured the fuel tank. One missing washer helped destroy an entire aircraft, and only a few more seconds could have changed everything for the worst. On August 20th, 1857, a courtroom in Paris placed something unusual on trial. It was a book. Charles Baudelaire's poetry collection, The Flowers of Evil, explored forbidden desire, corruption, death, and the darkness concealed beneath respectable society. French authorities believed some of its verses to be dangerous. Prosecutors accused him of offending public morale and teaching indecency as art. In the courtroom, his poems were examined, as though they carried some kind of contamination, and that they would infect anyone who read them. The judges then found him guilty. He was fined 300 francs, and his publishers were also punished. 6 of his poems were ordered to be removed from the collection. For 92 years, those 6 poems remained legally banned in France until the conviction was finally overturned in 1949. And by then, Flowers of Evil was recognized as a literary masterpiece. The government had tried to bury 6 poems in silence, and instead, they made them immortal. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next Eerie dose is just a day away.